Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Youth Man. In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 tips that I believe will save you a ton of money when building your home theater. Now, before we dive into those tips, I want to share with you that we've got about 10 days left on the Valencia Verona theater seat giveaway. So if you're interested in saving some money, you could save $850 on this chair if you were to win it. If that sounds like something you're interested in, head over to youthmanreviews.com/giveaway to enter. All right, guys, well, there's no doubt that building a home theater can get quite expensive. You can build a home theater with a really small budget, like a couple of $1,000s, but you can also build a huge home theater for a couple of $100,000 or even a couple of $1 million. And so in this video, I just wanted to kind of take you through some of the things that I used and some of the things that I learned to save me a ton of money when I built my home theater, and hopefully it'll help you save a ton of money as well. All right, tip number one is to make a plan. One thing I try to encourage people when they're building a home theater is to begin to think through your process. What is my end goal? There's nothing more frustrating than to buy something because you didn't really think it through and then have to turn around and sell it because it didn't really work for your setup, or maybe it didn't meet your expectations. You should have bought something a little bit more expensive, but you kind of cut some corners to save some money, and as a result, you end up saving that, losing money, and ended up getting the same thing that you originally wanted to begin with. So definitely build a plan, do all your research, write it down, and make a goal and start heading towards that goal. Number two is buy used equipment. One of the ways that you can save a lot of money is if you're okay with buying used quality gear. Now, probably about the first 12 years of me building my home theater, I bought and actually sold a ton of used equipment. And through my years, I've actually found some ridiculous priced equipment and speakers on the used market. I bought so many items in the Klipsch forum, they used to refer to it as Youth Man deals, and you've heard me even mention that here on this channel. One of the biggest deals I ever found on Craigslist was an entire Klipsch RF7 II entire system. It was 11 speakers, and it's a long story, but I'm gonna make it really short. I ended up spending only $2,000 on this entire system. And at that time, that system was a current model. I think it had only been out about a year, and originally it was about $6,500. So on that deal, I saved about 66%. And so there's definitely deals to be had that are out there in the used market. So there's a couple of things that I would recommend if you're looking in the used market. Look at things like Craigslist, OfferUp, that's an app on your phone. Let Go is another app, and also Facebook Marketplace. If you're looking at all of those continually, you're bound to find some really sweet deals, but you have to look at those things pretty much every day, if not multiple times a day, because what I found in the used market, if there's a steal of a deal, it's probably going to be gone and sold within a few hours. And so you've got to see those, you've got to have some money set aside, and you already need to have permission from your significant other to be able to jump on that deal immediately. Now, also in conjunction with buying used gear, one of the things that I just made a decision to do is that if I were to buy something used, I would only buy it if I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, if I were to sell it tomorrow, I would at least get my money back for it. That'll save you a ton of money, guys, because what happens is sometimes if you buy something up here, we all know about depreciation. And so the longer you have it, the lower in value that's going to be. For example, my first projector, I paid $2,500 for it. I think I had it for about 4 or 5 years maybe. When I went to sell it, I got $300 and a couple of Disney tickets for it because the guy worked at Disney World. So the reality is, especially with used electronics, it's going to depreciate quite rapidly. So the lower price you can pay for those items, the better off you'll be in the future when you go to upgrade and you end up selling that item. So there's a couple of friends on YouTube that deal with that budget-friendly systems. One of them is Dustin from Average Hi-Fi. He's got a new channel, and he really his channel is about going out and buying these used products, and then he reviews them for you guys. So check out his channel. And then the other guy is my buddy Joe from Joe and Tell. Joe reviews a lot of budget-friendly current model, especially speakers and even amplifiers. And so definitely check out his channel if you want to find out those budget-friendly new models. Number 3 is one that a lot of people probably don't consider utilizing when building their home theater, and that is barter for your services. Now, we all have different gifts, talents, and abilities, and maybe things that we can do that somebody else can't do. Now, this is another tip that I used personally when building my home theater that saved me a ton of money. I remember when I first started building my home theater, I wanted a pair of Klipsch speakers, and at that time, I think they were retailing for about $3,200. They were the RF7s. Now, I've been developing websites as a home business since 2004, so I reached out to a local home theater installer, and I noticed his website, honestly, it was pretty terrible. And so I reached out to him through email and I said, hey, I'm trying to build a home theater, also develop websites. Would you be interested in having me redesign your website in exchange for you buying me these set of speakers? And so he invited me to come over, we had a conversation about it, and we agreed that would be a great win-win for both of us. I was able to build his website, all it cost me was my time, and then he was able to provide some speakers that I didn't have to pay for out of pocket. And so for both of us, it just ended up being a win-win solution. So maybe think of some services that you can provide to somebody that has a service that you need. Maybe you need somebody to come in and do some electrical work for your home theater, like running a dedicated 20 amp circuit, and maybe you're a landscaper. And so you might reach out to a local electrician and offer to do some landscaping for either their business or maybe his home in exchange for them coming out and doing some electrical work in your home theater. The 4th tip is really simple: sell something. Now, this doesn't mean sell the kid in your family that you like the least. What this means is go around, look in your attic, look in your bedroom, look in your garage, for heaven's sake. There's bound to be some stuff in there that has just been collecting dust. If you're not using it, especially in the past year, 2 years, 3 years, put that thing on Craigslist, Facebook, offer up, let go, get some money for it, and put that back into your home theater. Number 5, again, I use this big time when building my home theater, and that is DIY, do it yourself. If you're going to contract somebody to come into your home and build a home theater for you, you're going to pay out the nose for that. You're going to pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for somebody to maybe design it, for somebody to come and run the wiring, for somebody to build your screen or your cabinet, or to build a riser. And the reality, if you're willing to do some work, you're going to save a ton of money. Now, I myself am not what I consider handy at all. I can't build squat unless it involves a mouse and a keyboard. I can develop websites, but I can't build a cabinet. I can't build a riser back here. But I've got some friends that are pretty handy. And so I reached out to them, and they were more than willing to come and pitch in, and we worked together, and we were able to do some things that didn't cost a lot of money. Like running wires through my attic. That's something that I can climb up there and I can pull some wires and pull some cables and not have to hire somebody to come out and do that for me. Building the riser. I had no idea how to build a riser, but I went on the AVS forum, looked at the construction thread, the home theater construction thread, and I found a guy on there that built his riser. He documented, he showed me how he did it, and I'm like, that seems pretty simple. Let's do it. And so I got a friend of mine to help me construct it, help me put some carpet on it, and it looks great and it works great, and it didn't cost me a ton of money. My front cabinet, I had a friend of mine build that. I have had estimates that it would probably cost around $20,000 to $30,000 if I would have paid somebody like an actual carpenter to build this home theater, this cabinet up front that I have, because everything on it is 100% custom. I mean, everything. With my friend's help, we were able to build this cabinet for just over $3,000. And part of that build was my custom 150-inch diagonal acoustic transparent screen. Now, I could have went out and bought a brand new 150-inch 2.35 to 1 screen from Screen Innovations, and I would have spent about $4,800. I've got maybe at most $500 in my screen. So as you can see, you can save a ton of money if you're willing to do some of the labor yourself. Number 6 is probably something that a lot of us struggle with, myself included, and that is be patient and wait for the right deal to come along. Sometimes when building a home theater, we do things called impulsive buying. Maybe we'll see something online or we'll watch a review and we're like, oh man, that's awesome, I gotta have it, and then we'll buy it. Honestly, when you impulse buy, we all know that we're probably gonna spend a lot more than what we would have had if we would have just been patient and if we would have waited for the right deal, waited for the right sale to come along to save some money. Tip number 7 goes along with that, and that is possibly wait for a discounted item. Every year manufacturers like to provide something new and improved, especially like in the electronics world. Receivers are notorious. Just about every year they're going to come out with a brand new latest and greatest receiver or preamp or processor. Speakers sometimes not quite as often, but when they do, they're often heavily discounted for that last year's model or 2 year ago model. A prime example right now, for those of you that like Polk Audio is running a ridiculous sale on their LSI series because of the new Legend series that just came out not too long ago. So if you don't have to have the latest and greatest electronics or speakers, you can definitely save quite a bit of money if you buy maybe an item that is being discontinued. Number 8 is super controversial, but I'll just share with you my thoughts on it. Don't waste your money on expensive cables. Now granted, it's your money. If you want to spend a ton of money on fancy cables, that's your money. I don't care what you spend your money on. But if you're looking to save some money, cables is definitely one area that you can do that. In my opinion, pretty much copper is copper, okay? If you've got copper with a fancy jacket on it, it's just copper that looks nicer. It's not going to sound any better. It's not going to perform any better. It's not going to bring out more detail in your surround sound. It's just copper. Now in my home theater, I have always used monoprice speaker cables. I've used some of their interconnects as well. They work great. They're super affordable. You don't spend a whole lot of money. I think like for a 100-foot spool of speaker cable, monoprice, 14 gauge, you're going to spend like, say, 35 bucks, okay? So there's no reason to go out and spend 200, 300, 400 bucks on speaker cables or interconnects when something a lot more affordable will do just as well. Tip number 9 is cut the cord. I know a lot of you guys probably have cable at your home, and cable honestly is super expensive. A lot of guys that I know that have had cable, they're spending over $100 a month on cable on all these packages. And let's just really think about it. Most of the time with cable, you're paying for a whole lot of channels that you don't even watch. And so there's a handful of cable channels that really you focus on. There are so many different affordable streaming services out there right now. Things like Disney Plus, you can get a Fire Stick TV, Apple TV, all those types of things. They provide different services, Hulu, Amazon Prime, the list goes on and on. Check out what they have to offer and see if that could save you a ton of money. Now before I get to the last tip, if you found value in this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because I produce weekly content, usually about 2 or 3 times a week, that I believe that you'll enjoy. All right, so the final tip number 10 is build it in stages. As you're building a home theater, sometimes it gets a bit overwhelming when you look at the cost of what it's going to take to build a home theater. Now, when I say home theater, it doesn't have to be a dedicated home theater like I have. It can be in a bedroom, in a basement, it can be in a loft, in a garage, wherever you decide to put that. It could even be in your living room, but wherever your space is that you watch movies, to me, that's your home theater. And so don't be afraid to build it in stages. So let's just say your budget is only X amount. Well, you may not be able to buy all 11 speakers that you want and your dual subwoofers and your power amplifiers. So again, it kind of goes back to tip number 1, devise a plan. Think through what can you afford, what can you buy, and just build it over time. My home theater 13 years ago looks drastically different than what it is today. I would build my home theater over a period of time. I would start off with the front speakers, bought my center channel, bought a pair of surround sounds, added a second pair of surround sounds. It wasn't until about 2 years ago that I even installed Dolby Atmos, and that was a few-year-old technology. My first set of theater seats I only paid like $600 for, and they lasted me about 11 years. And so again, it kind of goes back to being patient. If you're willing to build it over time, it doesn't really necessarily save you overall money, but it saves you immediate money. It's not like you're having to come up with $10,000 or $20,000 or whatever amount you're going to spend on your home theater. So build it over time, build it as funds become available, and just enjoy the journey. So many people I know are looking for that end game, that end destination. To me, it's all about the journey. I enjoy the process, I enjoy the journey just as much as I do the end goal or the end product. Well guys, hopefully the tips in this video will save you a ton of money. As always, you guys be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video.